Here's an exercise for our left hand that is going to help a lot with stamina and strength, knowing your fingerboard, and intonation. It's a real workout, and I hope that you give it a try. I call it the triplet spider, and it's based on another exercise that I learned from someone else, and we'll talk about that now as we take a deep dive into this left hand exercise. Welcome to Learn Jazz Bass with Matt Rubicki. Thanks for joining me today. I'm glad that you're here. Please look for a PDF below and subscribe if you want to learn a little bit more about how to play jazz bass. So today we're talking about this exercise that I call the triplet spider. And as I said, it's based on an exercise that I actually saw in Bass Player magazine, if you all remember that. I don't even know if they have a physical copy anymore, but it was from an electric player and he called it the spider, I think. I call it a triplet spider because we're basing the rhythmic part of it on triplets as opposed to 4 fingers. He basically did this as 16th notes. Some important points are that it does not matter really what the notes are at all. It's really just about strength. This is not a musicality exercise or an exercise in creating musical melodies, but it's rather, again, a strength building, a stamina building. It's strictly a technical thing. That said, as boring as it is an absolute game changer if you're willing to put in the time. And that's another important point, is that if you do it to its sort of full manifestation, it's going to take at least a half an hour, I think. That said, you can do it for a shorter amount of time and you'll still get benefits from it. So the basic idea is that we're going to start on the lowest fretted part of the fingerboard. In the Simandl method, this is called half position. So where the A flat, A, and B flat are. And the idea is that you are playing those triplets at a slow tempo for a consistent amount of time and not stopping. As your selected amount of time ends, I'm doing 30 seconds. After 30 seconds of this position, I'm moving up a half step and I'm doing this for 30 seconds. And then I'm moving up a half step in 30 seconds and so on until I get to thumb position. And then I'm going down at 30 seconds for each half note. 30 seconds for each half step, chromatic movement down. That's why it takes so long. So we're in a position and you're staying in that position the entire time. And we're just playing a sequence of triplets across the string. So for example, this beginning, the simplest one would be, if I'm thinking triplet, 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 triplet. And then after 30 seconds, you would move up so that your first finger is now on A. So that's pretty boring as it is. But overall, I said the whole thing is kind of boring and it's true, but we can add some interest and it makes a lot of sense and helps to really bring the best out of this exercise if we change which fingers we're using and which strings we're using. So in other words, we did A flat, A, B flat. What if we started on B flat? Triplet. Yes, there are a lot of combinations and variations you can do with these 4 strings and these 3 fingers. Those 3 notes across 4 strings. But before we go there, I want to just sort of continue on with fleshing out what the exercise is. So not only are we doing this for 30 seconds, but we are doing it with a metronome, which is going to keep us honest, of course, right? What I used to do before smartphones was have a normal kind of metronome and some kind of like watch, or like I used to have this little timer that had 30-second interval. I don't remember why exactly, or maybe I'll just watch it. I think it was like a 4-minute timer and I would just watch it for the 30 seconds to go by and then I would move. But what I've done with a smartphone is, of course, I've got a metronome on my smartphone and I've also got an interval timer, basically. It's kind of a workout timer that will make a sound every 30 seconds. And you can watch it too, but it will make a bell sound every 30 seconds, so I know it's time to change. So just using that ascending and descending, just using those, let's take a look at what exactly this feels like in real time. Ah. So I'm sure that was pretty boring watching me do it. I get it. And there is boredom in this, but that's an opportunity to really pay attention to very minute intonation things, time things. You notice when I started, I wasn't actually playing triplets at the very couple of first notes. I was too slow. I had to catch up. So I'm paying attention to where my time is and where my intonation is. But there's another element that's really going to elevate this and is part of the whole package, which is to change those, the order of the fingerings as I described earlier. And there's a whole bunch of different ways to do this. Normally we were going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You can do a whole bunch of things. You can go 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, or 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2. You can also start with the second finger. 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2. Right? You can go 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 1, 4, 2. I don't know why I'm humming. So you can do any permutations as much as you like. There's no actual way to do it. I'm providing this PDF with actual notes written out, and it looks crazy. Like there's all these sharps and flats, and it's not a melody, you know what I mean? It can be anything you want. The thing is to explore and exercise the possibilities of the left hand and to build the strength of going from 1 to 4 in and of itself. 1, 4, 2, for example, is a different muscle sequence, of course, than 2, 4, 1. That's different. So you can use all those kinds of combinations, and you don't have to do the strings in succession. Going back to the first one, A flat, A, B flat, if I go G, A, D, E, right? And then D, A, G. And then combine that with the finger combinations. So you also get the benefit of getting familiar with those leaps as well. The one that's always tricky for me, and I tell all my students this, is ascending, in particular ascending fourths. For whatever reason, my finger doesn't like ascending fourths. Some people can just sort of roll their finger over, and I can sort of get away with it, but doing that as part of the pattern adds another level of challenge for me. So if I go 2, 4, 1, 1, 2, 4, like that, Any kind of fourth movement, up or down, is a little bit more tricky for me, so I'm trying to also put that in. Again, it doesn't matter what the order is, it doesn't matter anything about the actual notes. It's just the physical, technical aspect of it. When you get up to thumb position, you can play the octave with any finger you want, really. I mean, you can play with the third finger, you can play with the fourth, although that's not usually too common to do, but you can play with the third. You can theoretically go to thumb position itself, but that's real hard to do fast. I've never worked on that, but maybe you want to. That could be something interesting. I haven't really worked on it like that, but I usually use my third finger there. But again, it takes a whole bunch of time to do this, and you're sort of stuck in the middle, you know, at about the 10-minute mark, your brain is sort of fried, you know, but if you keep with it, you start to discover things like, man, when I am playing this from 4 to 1, like in that pattern, like 1, 2, 4, and then the 1 again, I can really check that interval of the descending fifth. Out of tune, out of tune. So I can really make sure, I can really think about the intonation as well while I'm doing it. And when you're in that bored state and you're sort of got your patterns down and you're just, you know what you're doing, start to think about notes you're playing. Now think about the notes. You don't have to read something, but actually think like C, C sharp, D, or that's a D flat. Oh yeah, oh yeah. And maybe you start to approach a part of the fingerboard that you don't see very often, or you don't get to very often, especially down on these lower strings. You know, if I'm gonna play this B here, is that a B? Yes. If I'm playing this movement, I'm reinforcing that the C is here where my second finger is. Which teaches me like, oh yeah, like, okay, I know what notes are there, because you're giving yourself the time to think about it. So just as a sort of little bit more of demonstration, again, I know it's not the most intellectually stimulating thing, but let me do another sort of cycle of this where I'm using a bunch of these variations that I just talked about. So I've got the metronome going again at 72 beats per minute. You could certainly do it faster or slower, whatever works for you. You don't have to do triplets per se, but again, that allows us to stay in that sort of box of one position. Now I'm gonna start the interval timer again. You'll hear a bell every 30 seconds. And I'm gonna start the pattern in the middle, just as an example. I'll start it going from C, C sharp, D. So let's give it a try. Ah. So was that helpful, that little demonstration? Again, I know it's not pretty to listen to, but man, I'll tell you already, I've just done this a few times, my hand is burning. And what's really great is that you can notice very quickly as well what works for you best in which position. Of course, remember that the notes get closer, the more we get close to the bridge. So there's slight variations in which muscles you're using, and that makes a difference as far as how you're accurately trying to get that sound and so on. So those are things to experiment with and think about. I hope that this was helpful. As always, thanks for joining me today. Please look for that PDF below. Subscribe if you'd like to learn more about playing jazz bass. And always remember, straight ahead and strive for tone.